This is VSiN At The Track. Now here's your hosts, Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman.
Welcome back in here, another VSiN At The Track. I am Mike Somich. He is Aaron Halterman. And we have got awesome racing from coast to coast yet again. Favorite time of the year, and mentioned this last year. We've got great races from Del Mar, including the return of Sovereignty. We've got the Bing Crosby Grade 1 winning you're in for the Breeders' Cup Sprint out at Del Mar. We'll cover both of those as well as a couple other races. But we got to get into some news here as well. Ben, a lot coming out after Journalism's win from the Haskell. He looked, I thought, awesome. He was against a speed favoring track there at Monmouth last weekend. For him to be able to roll late and catch two horses, and Gosker and Goal Oriented, who I would say got the better of the trip there, I thought was very impressive. It didn't look easy for him. And because of that, I think that's why we're hearing the news, not going to be going right now, not going to go to the Travers, going to stay at home, possibly the Pacific Classic, possibly just train up to the Breeders' Cup Classic at this point. Are you surprised that we're seeing Journalism stay home? And what are your thoughts of the Haskell?
Yeah, not a surprise. I think that's what makes sense. It just kind of felt like he gave everything possible to get the job done there. He really ran a really hard race. I couldn't agree more with what you said here to begin the show. He had every excuse to lose that race, and you go, well, I get it, and he just refused to do it. So much so that I thought he was beat for about 95% of the race. He broke fairly slow after kind of acting up in the gate. And I would say, Mike, it probably took him a good half mile before he kind of got into stride. And because of that, he fell way too far back, like you kind of talked about there. And then it was just a gradual kind of move up the backstretch to get in position. Then he made a pretty hard move to get into third at the top of the stretch. And it looked like to me, he was just spinning his wheels. And I thought, oh boy, he's tired. He doesn't have it. You mentioned kind of a speed favoring track. That definitely is what it was at Monmouth. And he certainly was not taking advantage of it. Like you said, he was second to last, and then, man, just put his head down and went and got Goal Oriented and Gosker there at the wire to win by a half. I thought it was just all guts, all heart, however you want to kind of frame it. That's kind of how I viewed it. But no, I'm not surprised that maybe they're going to skip this next round of races, or at least just stay home, because that had to take a lot out of him. And not to mention, he ran in all three of the Triple Crown races as well. So he deserves a little bit of a break here in this next round of races. So I think that's what they're going to give him. But hats off to him. I thought it was just a gutty effort to get the job done in the Haskell.
If you're looking down the road to and you want to win Horse of the Year, 3-year-old of the Year, kind of makes sense to skip the Travers as well, right? Just make Sovereignty come to you. And if you can flip the tables on Sovereignty in the Breeders' Cup Classic, you've got a very good shot for Horse of the Year if you are Journalism, because you danced all the dances. You have multiple Grade 1 victories. You cap it off with that Breeders' Cup Classic over your home track at the end of the year as well. So I think it makes a lot of sense for Journalism after that hard effort in the Haskell to be able to stay home and just kind of say, okay, we'll let Baeza, we'll let Sovereignty go at it. We'll see what Magnitude does in the Travers, and then we'll kind of take it from there and see what the next steps are. Other horses in the Haskell, Gospel, Goal Oriented, and Burnham Square. I think I have to quit Burnham Square, or at least downgrade him a little bit and say maybe he cannot compete with this top level. Gosker, I thought, ran very well again. And same with Goal Oriented. But when you look back and you watch this race, I kind of get the same feeling I get after the Preakness. If Gosker couldn't beat him in the Preakness with the trip the Journalism got, if Gosker couldn't beat him in the Haskell with the trip Journalism got, when is Gosker going to beat him? I don't think he can. I don't necessarily upgrade Gosker Goal Oriented off of this. They kind of just maintain the level of expectation that I had for them.
Well, I will say this. I think they're born in the wrong year, right? Because I do think Gosker and Goal Oriented are pretty good horses, but they just can't compete with Journalism, or at least they can't beat Journalism. They've been close. At least Gosker's been close twice now. And again, we're sitting here going, boy, everything kind of went against Journalism. I don't think he ran his best race. And like you just said, he beat you again, so what happens when he runs his absolute best? But look, here's the deal. Gosker and Goal Oriented received 101 buyer speed figures for the Haskell. A lot of years of 101 buyer speed figure will win the Haskell. It's just they're in a situation this year when we talk about Gosker, Goal Oriented, even a Baeza we're going to talk about later, or just name some other ones, right, that are at kind of that top tier of the division. It's going to be really hard to beat Sovereignty and to beat journalism. They're so good and they're just so much better right now. So, look, you have to judge Golarian and Gosker based on, hey, if they're going to run in the big races, they're probably going to face one of those two horses. And no, I don't think they can beat them. But I do think it's unfortunate for them because they're getting a little bit better. I think they're good horses, just in the wrong year right now. And you've got to face those horses, those two monsters, in those kind of races. It is just ultra tough to beat them. And again, we'll talk about the Jim Dandy later, but it's going to be another one of those situations. So I do like those two. They're not journalism. They're not Sovereignty.
Scottish Lassie rolls in the Coaching Club American Oaks up at Saratoga. Just a 4-horse field. Raging Sea was your heavy favorite in that spot. Scottish Lassie goes gate to wire relatively easily. And it just looked like was much better than the rest of this field. Now, again, 2 turns, 1/8 at Saratoga. Not a race that I'm overly concerned about stepping forward off of. Lucara was going to be a 2-1 favorite. Lucara ends up scratching out. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It was a Brad Cox horse, not Raging Sea there. That was the favorite in that spot. But Lucara was going to be one of your favorites on the outside of 2-1 as a speed horse who went gate to wire over that Saratoga course over that Belmont weekend. And then you had her scratch out. You see Scottish Lassie go gate to wire in this spot. My takeaways from this is I can't wait to bet against Scottish Lassie and Lucara next time we see both these horses, because they just the race is set up perfectly for them. And there was zero chance that, or I believe there's very little chance they're going to be able to replicate these gate to wire wins on the front end in bigger fields. And the price is going to be significantly lower on both those horses next time out.
Well, I mean, step number one to what you're saying there is they're both going to be in the field together, assuming for the Alabama. And so that's going to wear each of them out because they're going to be on the front end. It's interesting. I did not like Scottish Lassie at all. And then we had the scratches, like you mentioned, of Lucara. And so I ended up kind of using Scottish Lassie in the pick 4s and pick 5s, just thinking, oh, she might get loose now in this 4-horse field and just kind of the track will help her a little bit, the pace will help her, and she'll win. And she did that. The one thing I will say, though, is I never in a million years thought that she would win by, double-digit lengths and receive a 99 Beyer speed figure for the effort. So it was kind of a combination of everything set up perfectly for her. And then, like, that just came out of nowhere, that performance. Like, something just clicked that day. And maybe it was, like you're saying, she just got really, really comfortable and decided, you know what, I'm just gonna dust this field. There's nobody around me. We've seen that before with horses on the front end. I tend to agree with you, though, with when horses do this. I always like to say, okay, you did it. Everything was perfect. Everything worked out for you. The next time out, I'm going to play against you. Now, if she does it again and maybe she does different tactics and things like that, now I'm on board. But I tend to agree with you when we look at this division going forward. It's kind of a mess right now because you've got Lucara, you've got Scottish Lassie, you've got Good Cheer, that they've all had their moments, but they've all had moments now that weren't so good either. So it is kind of a mishmash. But I'm with you. I'm going to go price hunting, I think, next time all these horses race against each other, because that is a very much just kind of a juiced up look for Scottish Lassie. And I'm not confident that she's going to be able to repeat that effort under a more normal racing condition.
Yeah, we always say don't go to the funeral if you miss the wedding. Well, this was the wedding for Scottish Lassie. Lucara's race last time was the wedding. We might have a double funeral in the Alabama with neither of those horses being able to get the job done, and maybe a decent price on a horse like Immersive or somebody else who enters into that field. Speaking of a wedding, that was randomized over at Monmouth. We talked about this one on the show. We had this one as a winner. She went gate to wire. She needs the lead. She needs a course that can extend her speed like Monmouth can. I would be surprised if she wins next time out. Now, a horse that doesn't need the lead or need the course that also won over at Monmouth, Redistricting, horse we both had on top, one of your best bets last weekend, gets the job done for Chad Brown. I thought this was a really, really professional effort. We saw Major Dude go out, set the pace, run a very good third in that race, but Redistricting just too good for that field. And this is a Chad Brown that I thought was going to be a superstar that is blooming a little later than I was hoping for. I thought this was going to start Kentucky Derby weekend. Now this is back-to-back graded stakes wins for Redistricting.
Well, and I think you do have to give Chad Brown a lot of credit for how he's handled redistricting so far. I know that you were super high on him, and Chad Brown seemed super high on him as well. Kept running him. Well, not really kept running him, but just kind of progressed him into the top tier races. He ran a couple of them in the top tier where he was good, but just couldn't quite get the job done. And instead of just trying to go over and over and over and do that, he took him to Monmouth and he got him two nice and easy spots. Easy, a relative term, right? Because it's still a tough race, but easier than what he'd been facing. And I think he did that just to get this horse's confidence back. And I'm going to tell you something. The race in the United Nations, that looked like a horse that is really starting to blossom. I think he's ready to try Grade 1 company again and try it at, say, Saratoga or Keeneland or even maybe the Breeders' Cup if he really gets good and stays good. But I thought his effort in the United Nations was very eye-catching because he basically sat, close to the pace, but he wasn't like eager to go and try to burn himself out early. He sat in that pocket position on the inside about third or fourth. And then when Flavian Pratt let the horse go, he just mowed that field down like he should. So he won that like a very good horse. I'm very interested in him going forward. Very interesting to see if Chad Brown tries that tougher company again after getting him two nice wins there at Monmouth. And then Randomized, look, I don't think this is like an amazing horse or anything like that, but she's always going to be dangerous if she kind of gets that kind of trip. And it's a wide open older female division right now, minus Torpedo Anna. But let's not forget, Torpedo Anna did have that one race that wasn't very good this year. So if she stubs her toe again, Randomized is one of those horses that could jump up and maybe make an impact in the division.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Randomized was just the beneficiary of the situation on Saturday. And we'll see if she is able to benefit again. If I am trying to beat Torpedo Anna, I want to do it on the front end. And at least Randomized has the ability to go out and get the lead. It's just whether or not she's going to be pressed when she is out there because she's a much better horse when you leave her alone. Also, very good horse, Bookham Danno. Awesome at Saratoga. Gets another win. This is one of the cooler horses in training and probably your favorite right now in the Breeders' Cup Sprint division. If I had to pick one, it would be Bookham Danno right now. He looked awesome there at Saratoga. One more news item for us, Aaron, before we jump into the race previews here. The Kentucky Oaks is going to be a late start. I'm kind of interested by this. 8 p.m. race time for the Kentucky Oaks next year on Friday over at Churchill Downs. I love it. I like it when horse racing tries something new. I like it when we get these nighttime programs which can draw more people, especially on weekdays, to be able to watch and bet on these races. So CDI company, I do not generally say good things about. Good job by you, CDI. This was an excellent decision to move this toward the night. All right, we're going to jump into some race previews now. But before we do, make sure if you're betting any of these, you head over to firstbet.com. Sign up now at firstbet.com. That's the number 1, STBET.com. And use promo code VSiN200 to score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for 60 days, win or lose, up to $200. Don't miss out now. Start betting smarter today at firstbet.com. And our first stakes preview right here at Saratoga, which I flew into this morning. This is my flu game, Aaron. I was on a red eye last night. I got 15 minutes of sleep, and we are right back here doing the pod. And I am immediately leaving for the racetrack as soon as this is over because that is how it is in Saratoga. You can see the Sunday Silence Easy Goer post position or little past performances there over the shoulder as well. Something special to both my father and I. Thank you for joining us here, by the way. If you're catching us on at VSiN Live over on YouTube or listening wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else, make sure you rate and review 5 stars only and hit that subscribe button for us as well so we can get out there to more ears. Now, Aaron, let's jump into this Amsterdam Stakes at Saratoga. This race is going down. This is going to be race number 9 on the Friday card. So this is a Friday race here. Grade 2 Amsterdam, headlined by the number 1 horse, Macho Music, who won the Pat Day Mile in surprising fashion at 14-1. Now cutting back to the 6.5 furlong distance, but likely your speed in a race that does have quite a bit of it. Are you going with the 1 Macho Music? Or are you going somewhere else here?
Yeah, this race is just a wild one, isn't it? I felt like we and you and I kind of are on the same page. I thought we got this sprint division for the 3-year-olds kind of figured out when Patch Adams won last time out on Belmont Stakes Day. And then Patch Adams isn't entered here. And so it's like, oh no, it's these same horses that have just kind of been beating each other and you don't really like any of them. So with that being said, out of the races we're going to talk about today, this is the one where I am the least confident without any question. But I'm going to go back to a horse that, I've been right on some, been epically wrong on some. And that is the number 6 Gunmetal for Brad Cox here. 9-2 on the morning line. This is a horse on debut. I had him on debut. I had heard good things about him. He ran well and he won. And then I bet him hard in the Swale at Gulfstream, and he was pathetic. He came back and won an allowance very nicely at Keeneland. Came back and bet him in the Woody Stevens last time out. He was pathetic. So he is very hit and miss. I do feel like you said, there's a lot of speed. I think Gunmetal can set fairly close to the pace here. I like this horse still, even though he's had some really awful races. I think his good race, or his best race, he's right there. I like the price as well. And like I just said, I like the pace setup. So I went number 6 Gunmetal on top in this one. This is a field though, Mike. There's just nobody that you really like. I really love in this field.
Yeah, I don't love anyone either. This is kind of a lukewarm opinion for me too, but Macho Music would be the horse for me, just trying to go gate to wire here. I agree with everything you said on Gunmetal. I'm willing to kind of excuse the last one as well, because that was in the slop. And even though Gunmetal does have a very good Tomlinson in the slop, it was the first time he tried it at Saratoga. And there was a 10-horse field in the Woody Stevens where there was just a bunch of speed signed on. I've always been high on the horses that ran first and second in that race. I think I probably like Handicapping Road more than most. Obviously, Patch Adams gets the victory there. So I'm willing to give Gunmetal another chance, especially in the exotics. I do think we got to respect Macho Music now at this point, though. I thought the last race in the Woody Stevens, where, yes, he runs 6th, he still went 22 flat, 44 and 2 to the half mile, 108 and 3 to 6 furlongs, and was facing what I thought was, like you said, Patch Adams, the best 3-year-old sprinter in the division. You also had Big Truz in there. You had Handicapping Road. All of those horses are better than the horses that I think are in this field today. So I do like Macho Music. I'm worried the price gets too short. I would want 2-1 if I'm going to bet this horse to win. But I like the 6 Gunmetal as well. And I think the 4 T-Craft, a horse that's at least worth mentioning here. Another horse that this is going to be one second off the layoff. I like the faith that Bill Mott has here to put T-Craft right back into it. So T-Craft is the other horse, the 4 horse here that I have any interest in using. What did you make of the 2 Garamond here for Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt? We saw him break the maiden at 6.5 at Tampa. Has gone a mile or longer in the 3 sequential starts. Do you think the cutback here is a positive for the number 2 Garamond?
Yeah, I don't know what to think about him, to be quite honest with you. I thought he would run very well in the Pegasus Stakes last time out, which was a prep for the Haskell. And I kind of thought, okay, Garamond will win this race, and then he'll step up, and he's not going to win the Haskell, but he will be a horse that's in the Haskell. He was 6, beaten over 10 lengths. He just quit in that race. I don't know what happened. I think probably some little something happened to him that race that just made him stop. I didn't know what to do. I almost kind of put him on top and just said, we'll see. The cutback makes sense for him maybe because of what you said of that debut race. The horse looked pretty good. I kind of think it's just let's put him somewhere and hope type of entry, to be completely honest with you. I didn't love him. The more I looked at it, I was like, I'm not buying it. I'm just not sure yet on him. So I kind of lean more towards looking elsewhere when it comes to Garamond. Maybe play him underneath, but the last race was just kind of, boy, that was kind of brutal, and I'm just not sure about 6.5 furlongs. I know he won at it, but they immediately stretched him out 3 straight races after. I'm kind of on the fence / not going to use Garamond at this point.
Yeah, I'm using too many shorter prices to use the 2 as well, so I'm going to let the 2 beat me if he is able to win. Quick note here, the number 8 Uncaged was entered on Thursday's card at Saratoga. He did scratch, so we should have all 8 entrants here in the Amsterdam headed postward. That's the 9th race on Friday from Saratoga. The number 1 Macho Music at 2-1 for me. The number 6 Gunmetal at 9-2 for Aaron. Let's hop on a flight here and head out to Del Mar. The Bing Crosby Grade 1 Sprinters. This is a win you're in for the Breeders' Cup Sprint happening on Saturday. This is the 10th race over at Del Mar. No morning lines yet, so I can't tell off who is going to be the favorite, but I expect it will be Roll On Big Joe who will take favoritism here. But this is a contentious race, to say the least. I'm excited to see what happens in this one. What direction are you going, Aaron?
Well, first of all, how could we not have a morning line from Del Mar? It's Thursday. Like, well,
Yeah,
I don't know how they're operating over there. The last track left, that operates like it's the 1900s. But anyway, let's go to the race here. Look, this is a very good race. I think it's a very good betting race. I don't think anybody's going to be too short of a price. I kept circling and circling here, Mike. I went with the number 2, Dr. Venkman, a horse that you were high on last time when he ran at Churchill Downs, and he ran well. He just barely got beat by 3/4 of a length, ran a very good second. He gets back here home to Del Mar. His biggest win came at Del Mar last year in the San Diego, which is going to be ran, and we'll talk about that race here in a second. But yeah, I like Dr. Venkman here. I think 6 furlongs much better for him than the 1.16 of the San Diego, which he did win, but it was a weak running last year. I see a lot of speed, and I think this is the horse that's going to stalk and come from off of it and get the job done, sitting just 3-4 lengths off of it. So I do like the number 2, Dr. Venkman, in this spot. Again, I just think it's going to set up well for him. It's his 3rd race off the layoff as well. He's been facing some darn good horses as well, and just getting beat by horses that are pretty darn good. I think this is a real good spot for him. So give me number 2, Dr. Venkman, in this one.
Now, I wish we had prices or morning lines at least to give some type of guidance. Obviously, the morning line is not the end-all, be-all, and you want to make sure you find value in whoever you bet. But I'd love to know the price on Dr. Venkman because he had trouble in the Kelly's Landing at Churchill Downs last time, where I picked him in that race. He didn't get out very cleanly, didn't get out as soon as he wanted to when coming into the stretch, and that, I believe, cost him that race. I think he is a better horse than Roll On Big Joe. But you mentioned the pace. I mean, Hijazi wants to go. You've got World Record who's going to fly out of the gate. Roll On Big Joe is going to want to go. Mbagnick is going to absolutely go to the front here. Spirit of McKenna has speed. It has the ability to get forwardly placed. What about the number 1, Crazy Mason? Like, if we get 8-1, if we get 10-1 on Crazy Mason, I kind of love this horse. Gary Sacco takes this one out of New York. You know why? Because Bookham, Danno, and Mulligan are in New York. Bookham, Danno, and Mulligan are 2 of the best sprinters inside this division, and this is your one true blue closer. I don't like taking closers when you're talking 6 furlong races. It's generally not a positive ROI move, but man, it feels like this sets up wonderfully for Crazy Mason on a Del Mar track that I thought played very fair last week on the dirt course from being able to come from off the pace. I mean, if he runs back to the Carter, he's probably winning this race. If he runs back to the True North, has a shot to win this race. Oh, by the way, this is also a 4-year-old, second off the layoff, and a huge, huge sign from the trainer, Gary Sacco, that he's like, hey, I believe in this horse. By the way, he's 20% in graded stakes with a $3.50 ROI. I'm going to go to the rail, take Crazy Mason in this spot. Is this a crazy Mike pick, or do you think Crazy Mason has a shot?
I love Crazy Mason. Yeah, if you weren't going to mention him, I was going to mention him next time you kicked it to me. I'm with you, man. This horse, I really like him. You mentioned he won 3 races in a row, including the Carter over the winter there at Aqueduct. Look, he ran in the True North last time out, and he ran into Bookham, Danno, and Mulligan, who just dominated again. Bookham, Danno, and Mulligan were the 1-2 finishers in the Vanderbilt. He totally was like, I'm not messing with that. I can't beat those horses. I'm going to come out here, and I absolutely can tell you this. If Bookham, Danno, or Mulligan were in this race, they would absolutely be my pick. Now, here's the deal. They did beat Crazy Mason by 4 lengths. So, if it was a length, I would totally be like, Crazy Mason, no doubt. But 4 lengths, it is a lot, right? So we're going to say, hey, is Bookham Danno 4 lengths better than this field? The answer could be yes, honestly. If it is, Crazy Mason's going to win. And you kind of mentioned it as well. He is the one horse that is going to come with a big run, and he's going to close hard. So with that being said, if that pace does set up like we think, this is the one that's going to pick him off. Now, I picked number 2, Dr. Venkman, on top because I think he's going to be the best of both worlds and not sit so far behind like Crazy Mason will. And so I think he'll get the jump on Crazy Mason. But if, for whatever reason, maybe Dr. Venkman gets involved in the pace a little bit, or maybe just Crazy Mason's better than him, period, then that's the one. I think it comes in 2-1 or 1-2. I thought those two were the clear to play because of the pace setup.
We talked about the pace a lot, ton of speed. Who is the speed of the speed? If I tell you got to take a pace horse that hangs around for a slice, right? Doesn't have to win the race, but hangs around for a slice. What horse do you think who's going to be forwardly placed has the ability to do that?
I think it's the number 5 World Record. Coming from a guy who bet World Record last time out in the Aristides, he went very fast, way too fast. I knew he was going too fast, and he got beat. But he was able to go out there and clear, and you've seen him do it before. And listen, his best asset is speed, right? So that, to me, I think that's just kind of what you got to do with him. Send him and hope, there's nobody kind of close to him that's going to really pressure him and he'll hold on. Again, I'm not sure that's going to happen, but he went very fast last time out and was still able to get second. I think it's world records, the horse that's going to be in front.
Yeah, I wish I could disagree with you. I think world record probably the speed of the speed, and Brissett and with Pratt flying out to California to ride at Del Mar and passing up a Saturday Saratoga kind of tells me they think that world record is going to be able to run very, very well on the front end. Before we jump into the final two races, if you're not a VSiN Pro, don't forget VSiN Pro is your edge in the horse racing markets and across all the sports. Try it now for just $9.99 for your first month. Head over to vsin.com/subscribe to see all of those subscription options. If you do subscribe now, you'll get that NFL guide for the upcoming season and the NCAA football guide also coming out here in just a week over at vsin.com. So make sure you head over to vsin.com/subscribe to sign up for your first month of VSiN Pro for just $9.99. Now, Aaron, let's stick out at Del Mar. Let's talk about the San Diego handicap here. This is race number 8 on Saturday. We're going a mile and a 16th over the Del Mar dirt course. And this is to Nisos or not to Nisos, right? That's the main question here. What do you make of Nisos stretching out? Because if he stretches out, look, Nisos probably the best sprinter right now in America, but he's not. He doesn't care. Nisos doesn't want any of that. He wants to go and win the Breeders' Cup Classic. His goal is to stretch out and be able to do so. Nisos is going to be our heavy favorite. You think Nisos is out well on Saturday here for Bob Baffert and Flavien Prat?
Yeah, I think this will be a cakewalk, honestly. When I look at this race, I think the number 2 Nisos wins this one fairly easily. You mentioned Flavien Prat that's riding world record. He also is riding Nisos, and I think this was the big horse that he came over to ride. And let's not forget, we're going to talk about the Jim Dandy here in a second, where Baeza is running. Flavien Prat was the jock for Baeza, and they really wanted him. And he left Baeza to come ride Nisos and world record. But again, I just feel like Nisos may be something really special. Now, can he go a mile and a quarter? I'm not sure, but can he go a mile and a 16th, which is what he's doing in San Diego? I think absolutely yes. When you go watch his mile race back when he was a 3-year-old in the Robert B. Lewis, it was electric. And this is just a 16th of a mile more. Also, you kind of look at how he's come back. He ran second in the Churchill Downs Stakes, which has turned out to be a fabulous race that had Mindframe, who came back to win a grade 1. Nisos, like I just said, who came back to win the Triple Bin. It had Bookham Danno, who's come back to win 2 sprints. And it had Mulligan, who finished second to Bookham Danno in those 2 sprints. So that was an amazing race. That was his first race in like 500 days. And he was still able to get second. I think Nisos is a monster. I think he really starts to show that he can go longer than just sprinting what he's done so far this year. And I think it's a really good spot for it. So I'm just a single on number 2 Nisos. I do think he'll be a heavy price, or a very short price. I should say a heavy favorite is what I meant to say. But I think number 2 Nisos gets it done.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you as much as I want to. I'm not going to try and bet against Nisos in this spot. Couple reasons. First off, it's not a great field. Let's just be honest. Like, the Hall of Fame, probably the second best horse from a talent perspective in this field. Ships out from the East Coast to try the West Coast horses here. I think it makes sense for McCarthy after his first start after coming out of the Steve Asmussen barn. We saw this horse at Fairgrounds at Churchill running, 4 straight 100 buyers, so has a ton of talent. I think he's a couple of what we should expect from Nisos. And secondly, we know Bob Baffert loves to, run the little 1-2, right? And you've got Miramati right to the outside of Nisos. Nisos is going to go to the lead. Miramati is going to protect him right to the outside. I think Nisos gets a very good trip, able to roll. I don't hate the idea of playing a trifecta, just Nisos over Miramati and Hall of Fame, and just letting it roll home, because I do think those are by far the 3 best horses. Betting-wise, who do you like underneath Nisos, so we can at least give out some value to everybody who's listening?
Yeah, look, I like Hall of Fame underneath, and it's probably going to be the second choice, so you're just going to have to play it straight. But when you look at Hall of Fame, he's a great measuring stick for Nysos. And if Nysos isn't the real deal, I mean, Hall of Fame can win because he has been facing some really, really good horses. But we've seen this horse be halfway competitive with a horse like Fierceness on that was Kentucky Oaks Day where they matched up against each other. We've seen him finish ahead of Sierra Leone this year. So look, I think it's just a straight 2-5 exacta. I know that's not very flashy, but when you start to look at these other horses, it's a lot of Southern California older handicap horses that are just kind of around but never really win. So especially lately. So I like Hall of Fame in second.
Yeah, this is the classic old dude in Hollywood who likes to cash checks. That's what this older horses are in Southern California. They love the third and fourth place check, but they're never going to be able to hit it big and get to the big time. Let's head back to Saratoga for what is the big time race of this weekend. We've got the Jim Dandy here, the 10th race on the Saturday card. Just 5 horses going postward, but pretty good 5 horses. Baeza in the 1 hole, Sandman in the 2, Moplex the 3, Hill Road the 4, and of course, your Kentucky Derby and Belmont champion, the number 5 Sovereignty, who's listed as a 2-5 favorite on the morning line. Real quick, does Sovereignty lose? Yes or no?
I'm going to go with no.
Yeah, I agree. So now we have to figure out how we get money from this race because at 2-5, hard to make money just betting to win. And I do think the 2-5 price is fair. To me, it's all about the pace, Aaron, right? And there's none of it. It's Moplex, and that's absolutely it. I wish Pratt was on Baeza. Pratt obviously going to be in Del Mar. Talked about that. I feel like he would at least send Baeza and try and put him more forward because we do know Baeza has enough speed to do that. I'm not sure that Hector Berrios, my boy, is going to do that here in this Jim Dandy. I expect he's going to be a little bit further off it. And I think that means that Moplex sits the trip that you want to be able to run. Moplex lead. Sovereignty's just going to try and run down, and it feels like it's a Sovereignty, Moplex, Baeza trifecta, just cold, and you just call it home that way if that is the case, and Baeza doesn't press early.
I mean, I think you hit it right on the head. I think the old kind of version of Sovereignty, the one that kind of drops way out of it, and makes one run, you might be a little bit nervous, but what he showed at the Belmont Stakes is he can sit close to the pace and still kick on. And so I think that's makes him really hard to beat in this spot. Right. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's 5-3-1. I do think Baeza is the second best horse in the race, but Moplex, if he does get out there by himself, it will be very tough to pass. And that's what's, you're going to hope for. Hey, like in the last race, I'm going to go the 2 favorites, right? Here, it's like, let's try to get Moplex, who's a bigger price in that second spot, and maybe make that exacta pay a little bit more. But, again, with Sovereignty, I kind of was rewatching his races and just kind of looking at this race as a whole. And trust me, I get that Bill Mott is just a master at getting horses right at the right moments. But the improvement level this horse has made is pretty epic when you look at it. If you took out the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont and you compared all his races before that to every other horse in this race, he might look like he's going to finish third. Like, he would be competitive with all of them for sure, but there would be major question marks. But when you look at the 2 races, the Derby and the Belmont, and you put that into the equation, he should probably win by 4 or 5 lengths. That is the dramatic effect of how he has improved and how he has become a monster. The one thing that I will say, both of those massive races were on a wet racetrack. Maybe on a dry track, he doesn't run quite as well. I think he will, but if you're trying to poke a hole in this favorite and trying to say, okay, let's think of a reason to play against him, he has been exceptionally better over a wet racetrack, whether it be a sloppy track or a good track. Maybe on a dry track, it evens out a little bit. That's a one kind of hole that I can poke at him going into this race.
Yeah, I'm going to call BS on that. I loved his Fountain of Youth, which was his first race here in this cycle, and that was over a fast track where he ran down River Thames at 1 16th on a speed favoring short stretch at Gulfstream Park. That was the moment I picked him for the Kentucky Derby. That fast track effort, I think, was still his second best effort. I thought his Belmont was just dynamic. And you mentioned the change of style. As he's matured, he showed more pace early. He's been closer to it, and that makes him so much more difficult to beat in a race like this. So I think he can handle the fast track. I don't have an issue with it. I will say this for Hector Berrios taking over for Baeza. If when you go through the PPs, Barrios did ride this horse 3 times. And all 3 of those races, Baeza was more forwardly placed than when Pratt got on him. Now, Pratt got on him for the Derby and the Belmont. So you might say, oh, well, but those are both races that were over and off track. You don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if Baeza shows a little bit more speed on Saturday. Cold triples here, cold tries for both Aaron and I in the Jim Dandy race number 10 from Saratoga on Saturday. Number 5, Sovereignty in first. Number 3, Moplex in second. And number 1, Baeza in third. If you're looking for a trifecta that's going to pay off, check out the G-Bank trifecta here featuring G-Bank, First Bet, and VSiN. All you need to do is open a G-Bank Visa signature credit card. The first 90 days, deposit and play through $1,000 at First Bet to trigger the $500 trifecta. You'll receive $200 in cashback rewards on your G-Bank Visa signature credit card. First Bet will give you a $100 deposit match bonus, and VSiN completes the trifecta with a free VSiN Pro subscription through August 31st. That is a $200 value, and that's the $500 from G-Bank, VSiN, and First Bet. Head over to VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. This is a one-time promotion limited to customers opening a new account in response to this offer and will not reply to requests to convert existing accounts. Make sure to apply today and do read the terms and conditions. All right, Aaron, let's get to everyone's favorite part of the show here. Let's talk some best bets. I'm going from coast to coast here. I've got a Del Mar and a Saratoga play, but as always, I will let you kick it off.
Yeah, 2 best bets for me, both coming from Saratoga on Saturday. Going to stick there. And I thought about Del Mar a lot. There was a few I liked on Saturday, but I just kept going back to Saratoga. So let's go to Saratoga race 9. This is a stakes race. It's the Lake George here on the turf, going 1 mile and 16th. I'm going right back to the number 5 Classic Q. I bet this horse last time out here at Saratoga when she ran, and I was so impressed with this horse. I was kind of just waiting for her to enter back. Now, it's a little bit, longer of a race. Last time out was a mile when she was able to win on the front end. Now it's 1 mile and 16th. I do get that, but I think the pace sets up pretty favorably once again for Classic Q. Chad Brown's got a couple horses in here that are pretty good. He had a couple horses that were pretty good last time, and Classic Q was able to get the job done. So Saratoga, race number 9. I like number 5, Classic Q. All right, I said I'm going to go to Saratoga again. Let's go just a few races later on the card. Race 12, the final race of the day on Saturday. I'm going to go with the number 7, Fateful Lightning, as my second best bet here. And Fateful Lightning taking the biggest class drop in horse racing, and that is going from maiden special weights to maiden claiming ranks. So 4 races in the maiden special weight ranks for Fateful Lightning, and never a race you could point to and go, man, she almost got it that day, but she was very competitive in all of the 3 out of the 4 of the races, I should say. Now dropping to the maiden claiming ranks, she stands out to me stands out to me in a big, big way in this spot. These horses that he's facing in this spot, much weaker than these maiden special weights that we've been seeing him run against. So the number 7, Fateful Lightning in the 12th at Saratoga, be my second best bet on Saturday.
I actually want to flash back a little bit to the Lake George. It's a graded stakes we didn't get a chance to cover. I'm kind of happy you picked this one as your best bet here. I actually don't like Classic Q in this spot. I feel like the trip for Lavender Disaster last time out, the 4 horse here for Chad Brown is 5-2, was significantly worse just because that horse was hung a couple wide, chasing Classic Q on the first turn, hung a couple wide on the second turn. I think that Lavender Disaster has a shot at flipping the script on it, but I wanted to talk about this race because I do like 2 prices, 12-1 on the 2 and the 3 horse. The 2 horse, Pretty Lavish. The 3 horse, Daisy Flyer. I think both of these horses are live. And if you're playing underneath, even if you're playing multi-races, I think the 2 and the 3 are dangerous. Did you like either of those prices in the Lake George, Aaron?
I really do not like the 2 or 3, but I do really like the 4, and that's who I'm the most scared of, Lavender Disaster, because of what you said. The trip was pretty tough that day for sure, and I think this horse has shown that she's got class. She can get up there, and she's not that far off Classic Q. I didn't love the 2 or the 3. I did look at this race pretty hard because, when you see a horse and you're like, okay, I like her. I bet her last time I'm going to do it again. Then you do go down and you really examine every horse pretty closely. I just think if Classic Q runs back to that last race, I think it takes the 2 and the 3 out of the equation. I don't think it takes the 4 out of the equation, though. That is a big-time threat. And I do think the other Chad Brown horse, Play With Fire, the 10, is a big-time threat as well.
Yeah, I looked at that 10 too. He ran second in that race last time. That's the horse I thought got it all her own way. And so that's
Yep.
one of the ones I'm like, okay, I'm willing to bet against the 10 this next time out, because I felt like Classic Q and the 10 there both got the best trips that day. And that Lavender Disaster got the worst. And so if anything, I try to flip the script with the 4. I do like the 4-5 exact, and then play the 2 and the 3 underneath at a price. See if we can get him home for third in the try, something like that, and spice it up a little bit. Speaking of spicing it up, Aaron, first best bet for me, Friday, race number 7, Del Mar. I'm going to go 12-1 here. I'm going deep. And this is the Fleet Treat $150,000 stakes race for state bred fillies. And this is a division which, by definition, in California, they just passed the baton. It is very hard to win back-to-back races, because in these state bred races, you'll see horses sprint at 5.5 furlongs, go 7 furlongs, run a mile and a 16th, then go to the turf and run 6.5. And it'll be the exact same field because of the size of these purses for state bred 3-year-old fillies in California. I think going deep is just incorrectly priced in this spot. I thought that going deep should be significantly closer to your favorite, the number 3 horse, Omen Joy, who is 5-2 on the morning line. Like this is a horse in going deep that ran second at a mile and a 16th. If you look at the previous 2 races, we're talking 5.5, 6.5 furlongs. I think the distance here is a benefit going 7, because I do think going deep has enough early pace to be relevant early and enough stamina to stick around late. And the 12-1 price, really what put me over the top here for this Doug O'Neill trainee, who is first off the bench and has been working well down at Del Mar as well. I love the last workout being over that local track, and a horse that is 1-for-1, breaking the maiden impressively at Del Mar as well. So I'll take a little shot here. Del Mar 7, the number 1 horse, going deep, sitting at 12-1. Did you look at this race yet, Aaron? Is this one of the Crazy Mike horses?
I don't think it is. It's funny because I've got a long shot as well, but I've got your horse in second. I went number 6, Young Love, on top, a horse that only has 2 races, one last time out. I thought pretty impressively at Santa Anita, and I think is ready to jump up to this kind of division that you talk about for Peter Miller. And then I had the number 1 going deep in second. To me, it's like you take prices in these style of races, especially at Del Mar. So no, I don't think you're crazy. I had the 6 on top. I got the 1 in second.
Yeah, I thought the 7, Lady Mendelssohn, at 12-1, also a little interesting. It's Carla Gaines off a layoff, though. If this was second out for Carla Gaines, I'd probably be on the 7 as well. But I do like your 6 too. I think it's just a wide open race. I don't think the 3 should be 5-2. So I'm taking a shot here. Give me the number 1 on Friday's Del Mar card, race number 7, going deep, 12-1 on the morning line. Be a little more conventional for the second best bet. Let's head back to Saratoga Saturday, race number 8. Give me the number 3 horse here. Vakinda, phenomenal name. Sire Vacoma, Dam Belinda, Vakinda. So I see where they were going there. This is a George Weaver trainee, first off the layoff, that is going to be taking on N1X level allowance for New York state bred horses. And I thought there were so many excuses in the last 2 races, and that's why I want to go back to this horse. You're getting 4-1 in a spot where I don't love anyone else in this race. I feel like your lukewarm favorite here is a 7-2 9 horse, Kenny B, who is going to try and be in the lead, but kind of needs the lead to win and has only won once. I'll take a shot here with the number 3, Vakinda, who is 4-1, first off the layoff, and has been working very well for George Weaver. This is owned, bred, and trained, so you know that he wants to properly place this horse. One that there was a thought to be a very big career, kind of has gone back and forth between Franco and Cancel, and done better with Franco aboard. So give me Vakinda here, the number 3 horse, 4-1, race number 8 at Saratoga. Was that the direction you were looking, or are you going elsewhere?
I'm using Vakinda for sure. I like the point you made. This race looks like a total mess to me. So I think you could go 100 different ways in here. I kind of like the number 7, Bustin' Away, a little bit. A horse that's been running at Finger Lakes, a track that is not nearly as good as Saratoga, obviously. But I just looked at this field and I'm like, boy, these horses, none of them are really that good. He might be able to come up here and compete at a big price here, 10-1. I liked Vakinda for sure. I kind of like the number 6, Roofer, a little bit. I like number 2, Stewie, a little bit. Nothing's really going to surprise me in this one. This is a kind of a mess of a race. This is one of the harder races, I think, of the whole weekend.
See, this is why this is the beauty of these races as best bets. If you single this horse in the pick 5 and we're able to get Vakinda home, you have a huge edge over the rest of the pool, because everyone else will be spreading. So even though Aaron Vakinda likes him, I'm going to go with the number 3 horse, Vakinda here. Race number 8 Saturday as my best bet, sitting on the board at 4-1. That's going to do it here for VSiN at the Track. Thank you very much for joining us, whether it was over at VSiN Live on YouTube. If it was at Apple, Spotify, wherever you're getting your podcast, we really do appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review 5 stars only over there on the podcast to help us get the word out about VSiN at the track here. We'll be back next weekend, another loaded stakes weekend from Del Mar and Saratoga. Of course, talk about all of these races and hopefully all of the winners that we picked. Good luck this weekend at the track.